Hi guys. So this video is walk you through your third essay, your last essay that you're going to write for this course. And we are switching gears entirely for this essay. So you're not going to write about the same topic as your first two essays. Instead, you're going to do a literary analysis essay over the short story In a Grove. So we read that together. You're going to write a literary analysis essay over that. Now, a literary analysis essay is something you've probably done in high school, basically where you take a piece of literature and you analyze certain things about it, like similes, metaphors, themes, that kind of thing, plot, character. So you guys are kind of looking at In a Grove from one of three ways. You're going to create an argument. So just like you did in your first two essays, you're writing an argument. It's a literary analysis argument over In a Grove, focused on either a character, a theme, or an approach. So you choose whichever one you want to do. But you only need to do one of those things. That doesn't mean that you can't look at it in other ways, but you do just need to have one central sort of focus, whether it's a character, a theme, or approach. So when you're looking at something like character, you're looking at the behaviors and the motivations behind that character. So you might think about the main characteristics and how do you understand that about that character? Like, what about that character tells you that? Do any of those characteristics conflict with one another? So in this story especially, when we have no idea who the real killer is, are there characteristics that might conflict between the different stories? So say you're looking at, the main killer, the confessed killer. Is he really the killer? Maybe not. Maybe there's different characteristics from the different stories that prove that he isn't or is. Think about, are they trustworthy? Are they telling the truth? Why might they be lying? What could they gain or lose? And then think about the background. So think about what makes that character who they are. If you're looking at the theme, you're looking at the overall point of the story. So what's the message? What's the thing that the author wants you to take away? What are they supposed to get from the story? What evidence do you have that might suggest that your theme is a valid one? So if I looked at this story and I said the theme is clearly that space exploration is very important, that would have nothing to do with this story, right? So you want to make sure that your theme is valid. Now, if I said that the theme was something like the importance of not believing someone, at first glance, that might be a theme. And an approach, again, is a way that we think about or read a story. So we've looked at different sort of schools of thought, different approaches, things like gender theory or reader response or historical. There's different ways of reading a story. And in this story, obviously, there's a lot of different ways that you could read it. You could read it from a feminist approach. You could read it from a historical approach. You could read it from a lot of different ways, a psychosomatic approach or a psychological approach. There's a lot of ways you could read this, which is really interesting. So again, you'll choose one of these three options and look at In a Grove. You still need to have the parts of an argument. So you have to have an intro with a thesis statement. You have to have evidence. In this case, your evidence is going to be quotes from the text. So this is really important. When you analyze a piece of literature, just like you do in an argument, when you pull in research and you prove your idea, you're going to do the same thing by pulling in specific quotes from the text that prove your idea. And you still do want to think, maybe to a lesser degree, but you still want to think about what the other arguments, what the other side might be. So if you're going to argue about a character, that a certain character is the real murderer, you might, acknowledge that there are other people who believe that blah, blah, blah is the murderer instead, and then disprove that. It's a little less important in this case, but it should still be there. Your essay needs to be 3 to 4 pages in length and is due on Sunday, August 1st by 11:59 p.m. MLA formatting is required, everything checked for plagiarism, and as usual, page length requirements. The only thing you're going to submit in this case is a final draft with the bibliography. And there is, I believe, an outline that goes with this that will help be part of your grade. So just as some examples, character analysis, you might think about the character that you're specifically looking at. What's their motivation? What's the behavior pattern? That tells you what kind of character that is. Now, when you look at characters, there are certain terms that are associated with character analysis. So that could be things like flat, dynamic, round, static, primary, secondary, antagonist, protagonist. Try to apply this terminology to your claim. So you might argue that the woman is actually the antagonist. She's actually the bad guy, the one who, you know, made all this, certain whatever, made her husband get killed. That might be your claim, that she's the antagonist. Your claim could also be something like the woodcutter is actually a key character in the story because of certain details that he tells. Or you might argue, for example, say that the police commissioner knows more than he's telling, that he's actually part of the conspiracy, or something like that. Any of those could be a good claim when it comes to a character analysis. When you're looking at themes, you might look at things that are sort of universal messages. So think about things like the importance of truth. Or it could be something like, we don't understand what truth really is. Truth is just a matter of perception. It could be something like the importance of honor and virtue. Or the theme could simply be how love is bound to, is dangerous. Love is dangerous. That could be a theme. It could be the importance of tradition, or the importance of rebellion against tradition. Any of those would be viable themes. So again, these are just examples. If you're choosing a theme, find the theme that you believe the story is trying to tell, and make sure that that's clearly conveyed for us as your audience in your claim. And if you did an approach, that might be something like a feminist reading of a specific character and her role in the story. Could be a cultural reading. This one is really interesting because it's obviously Japanese culture, and you might dig a little bit into that and see how that relates to the story or the theme of the story. You could do a psychological reading of a specific character. For example, argue that a certain character has, this or that. You could do a new critical reading about a particular symbol, say the sword, why that sword is important in the text. Any of that would work really well. Again, completely wide open, up to you. These are just examples. Think about, most importantly, what you want to say about this piece of literature. You don't have to verify it with me ahead of time. This is not subject to approval. But if you want to run it past me, you are more than welcome to. Again, same thing as always. Make sure you have the parts of the essay, or parts of an argument, and then the essay. I believe I actually changed this because I wanted to make sure you guys had a little bit of padding with the outline. I'm 90% sure that there's an outline as well. And that really is to just help you guys make sure that you're on the right track as you start to write this essay. But at the end of the day, you're going to submit a final draft as a clean draft, a Word doc, and that will be the end of unit number 3. So if you have questions, let me know. But again, most importantly, you're creating an argument over in a grove focused on a character, a theme, or an approach.